what are some of the strategies that you would suggest, right? So I'm pretty big on like one, two, three. What would be like the first one, two, three things that somebody should do if they're in a tough place of life?
Um, yeah, I think first thing you got to do is be real with yourself and just have some awareness of where you are and figure out kind of what's holding you back as far as like the beliefs that are gunking you up. Um, so we'll typically start by, I have like a list of like I am statements. I am loved, I am powerful, I am strong, I am capable, all of these things. And we kind of go through them and I ask them to just like, I'll pause for a second and I say, just write down the first thought that comes to your mind when I say this, right? And oftentimes when I say like the I am loved, the first thing that's bullshit, right? Like that's I am not loved, right? And we just have to identify, okay, what is the stuff that is stopping you from moving forward? And a lot of times it's these beliefs that aren't even true, that either someone plugged into us at an earlier age, or we kind of plugged into ourselves at some point and we keep telling ourselves that story, right? So that's step one, just having some awareness of like where we are in life and what is stopping us from really moving forward. And I learned this concept in like a sales training a long time ago. It was called the belief flywheel, and Tony Robbins teaches a very like similar type of thing. And it basically says like there's kind of three steps of this cycle that we're all in, and the cycle is either working for you or against you. And we have our results, right, that are kind of like at the top. And one thing we can all agree on is like the results that we're getting in life are directly related to the actions we are taking, right? So the actions we take lead to the results that we get. What makes us take or not take certain actions? It's our beliefs, right? I believe the stove is hot, so I'm not going to touch it because I believe I will get burned. I believe that girl will turn me down if I go talk to her, so I'm not going to go over there. I believe I would fail if I started that business, so I'm not even going to try, right? So beliefs create our actions, which create our results, which reinforce our beliefs. And it's either working for you or against you. I already pointed out a bunch of things like as to working against you, right? You have that belief, so you don't take the action. You continue to stay exactly where you are, and it reinforces the belief that you can't move forward in life. You can see this in any, whether it's finances, relationships, career, um, physical fitness, all of that stuff is in there. You don't believe you can lose weight, you're probably never going to, right? You'll keep making excuses. Oh, this doesn't work for me. When, hey, guess what? It works for everybody. Go work out, go on a calorie deficit. Like you can lose weight, it'll happen. It's just science. Um, but it can also work beautifully for you, right? I believed I could grow a social media channel. And because I had full belief that I could do that, and people helping me and encouraging me along the way, I took huge actions. I've been posting 6 to 12 videos a day for 2 years. So like that's and that gives me the result of, hey, like it's working, and it just pours gasoline on the fire to make me want to keep going, you know? So that is like the basics of this, right? We have to identify those beliefs that are holding us back, start to create the cognitive dissonance, and call out like why those are nonsense, or figure out where those came from, right? And challenge. You got to kind of go into a mental battle to challenge those beliefs and understand why they aren't right, And once we do that, now we can create a game plan of instilling new beliefs that are going to work for you and allow you to take these new actions that are going to get you better results and reinforce these new beliefs. So that's like, I mean, like that is like such a huge, just as simple as I can put it. Like that's really the formula, you know.
So when someone goes through those I am statements and then writes down, which I've actually never heard that second part there, is actually writing down your kind of your initial response to those statements. I've never heard that. I like that a lot, like a lot, a lot. So when someone does that, they write it down, they get the response, the autonomic response, they didn't expect it, they don't like it, and go, okay, I don't want this anymore. How do they confront that? Just through rational or through emotional? How would you suggest someone go about that?
Guys typically do it best rationally, like logically. First, we'll ask like, where did that come from? Who told you that? Right? Sometimes it was mom or dad or a girlfriend or a boss or whatever. It's like, okay, like what do you think they were right? Like what was going on there? Why do you need to continue believing that? Right? So you know, walk through this process of identifying, you know, where is sometimes they'll go, I don't know where that came from. Okay, great. Then we can just choose not to accept it anymore. You can make a decision to no longer accept that, right? Because what does it offer you? Asking that question right there, what, because it is doubt, right? So what is doubt offering you right now? And I just went through like this big training that I hopped on talking about this exact thing. And it's so crazy to watch guys walk through this stuff. And it's like, okay, what is that offering you? You don't believe you can be a successful business owner. Okay, what does that offer you? Well, nothing. Okay. What's the opposite of that? I believe I can run a successful business. What does that offer you? Everything I ever wanted. Okay, which one do you want to choose? You know, and like once they can see that and understand that they have a choice in that, you can start moving in the right direction. You know, and then there's all kinds of like the little tricks of, you know, affirmations or meditations or whatever route you want to go to continue instilling these beliefs and writing them down and reprogramming your mind, because that's really what we're doing, right? We're reprogramming the operating system, to remove that and add this new piece in there, and that's, you know, typically how we go about it.
So you had mentioned that you had a background in sales and leadership and sales management and whatnot. I mean, was that similar to what you talked about with the path, like the skills that you picked up along the way that brought you to where you are now? Do you feel that that was, I don't want to say predestined, but in a way where it was like meant to be that I was in, the sales and leadership situations? Because sales is leadership even on an individual basis with a client, right? Is if you have their best interest in mind, of course, right? Do you feel that?
For sure, it was the only reason, like when we got to the point where it was shifting and all these guys were coming like asking for me to help them. Like at first I was like, I'm not a therapist. Like what can I possibly do for these guys? But then I just had this realization. I was like, I've been where they've been, and I had these men come into my life and teach me these principles, give me these books, send me these podcasts, all of these things that slowly but surely started to shift my mindset, change the way I thought about things, change the way I talked about myself, change the way I talked about my wife, change the way I talked about my future, and change the habits and the actions I was taking. It was like it was clear to me like, oh, that's what these guys need. They just need this stuff that was taught to me that changed everything for me along the way, because of the sales and leadership. I mean, I went to dozens of these weekend retreats and conferences and seminars and just, hours and hours and hours of trainings and stuff on that, and just dove heavy into the personal development. I, heard you mention like Napoleon Hill earlier, so I'm sure you're deeply enrooted in that type of stuff too. So you understand like how much it can really change who you are as a person.
What's going on, guys? If you like that clip right there, you will love the full interview. You can check that out right there. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and subscribe, because we got a lot of big things coming up in the near future.